are welcoming December here on the farm with a big snow in the forecast. So there are a few things that need to be done before the weather gets very cold. We are going around the farm today and just winterizing some of our drinkers. So that first drinker is a really old drinker that's been on the farm forever. And so we just rig up a heat lamp in it every year, and it's usually enough to keep it going. But then we have these frost-free drinkers all around the farm that we use during the summer months when we rotationally graze our cattle. So we're going around today and just draining them and putting the caps on for the winter time, all the ones that we aren't going to be using. And then the next little project that we needed to get done before the snow was to move this feed wagon back into the barn lot because we have a new group of calves and we just needed this bulk feeder to be handy, especially when the snow comes. We want to try to make chores as easy as possible. It's important when the weather changes a lot, especially when it's getting colder and they're calling for a wet snow, to make sure that all the cattle have extra feed for that colder weather so that they can stay warm and healthy through that drastic change. And it was fairly warm here, and you can just tell with all the wind that the cold front was coming and the snow was going to come soon. So that was something else that we really wanted to get done before the snow, was just to go out and give all of our cattle some extra hay and make sure that we rolled plenty of it out so that they had good bedding also, and that they would be ready for the snowstorm. The snow came just as they predicted, and we got about 8 inches overnight. So I decided to get up early, get bundled up so I can get outside and check on all the animals and just do some chores right away before the snow sets in again. And fortunately, this first snow of the year came over a weekend, so my husband was home and was able to stay inside with the kids so that I could get out there by myself to do some of these chores. I absolutely love the snow. I don't even really mind the cold weather if I'm dressed and ready for it. I just think it's such a beautiful sight on the farm, especially in December. That's just the beginning of winter, and it's just such a welcome scene. So I was happy to be able to get outside and to enjoy this snow this morning. Even just doing the most mundane, normal chores that I do every day, there was just something magical about having the snow on the ground and how pretty the farm looked with the snowfall. Here in Missouri, we get a fair amount of snow every winter, but it never stays on the ground and just accumulates. We always get a snow, and then the weather will warm back up and it will all thaw and turn super muddy and then refreeze again. So we never have just frozen ground all winter long, which actually, if I could choose, I would prefer the ground to just be frozen all winter. Like I mentioned earlier, the cold weather really doesn't bother me, and I actually think that the animals would prefer it also, just because of how much it all ends up turning to mud. So this snow will not last. I'm hoping it lasts till Christmas, but I'm sure it won't. But we maybe will get lucky and even get another snow by then. I'm just starting off the chores by trying to get as much done right around the barn as possible. And then my dad's gonna come up and we're gonna go out together to feed the main herd. So these are some calves that we recently purchased and brought to our farm. We purchased them because we're not able to keep up with demand for beef for our customers with what we're raising. So we got these from another local farm, and I'm just keeping them up close in this smaller lot right now so that way they can acclimate to the farm, and then all this changing weather, I can just keep a good close eye on them and then give them a little bit of extra feed to get them through this snowy, wet, cold stretch of weather here. We always have fun reading through all the old wives' tales from the Farmer's Almanac to see what the change of seasons is going to bring. So a few of the ones that we read through about the first snow were, one, that the first snow predicts the winter. Some say if the first snow comes early, the whole winter will be long and rough. And this first snow definitely came earlier than the past few years that I can remember. So we'll see about that one. Missouri weather always likes to surprise us, so I don't really bank on any of this. They're just interesting and fun to read through. The next one that I really liked said, the first snow brings good luck. A gentle first snowfall is said to bring blessings for the home, extra protection, and a peaceful season ahead. So I definitely like that one a bit better than the long and rough winter. Before we head out to feed the big herd hay for the day, we needed to get the tractor ready. So the reason we didn't have this tractor ready is because we actually have 2 tractors up here at the cattle farm, but my dad wanted to take one of them back home to his farm so that way he could feed the cows there. We have some of our yearling calves that we recently weaned at his place. He wanted to make sure that he had a way to feed them hay if they needed it. They're out on pasture, but when the weather gets really wet like this and the grass is covered up, we always like to make sure that they have plenty of hay also. So we're getting this tractor hooked up to our bale and roller and then the hay spear, so that way we can make our way out to the cattle herd and give them their hay for the day. And then we also want to unroll a few extra bales to some of these calves up here by our barn, just to make sure that they have a good place to bed also. With a herd our size, we have to feed them 3 of these big round bales every day. But today we're going to go ahead and roll out a 4th one, so that way they have plenty of places to bed down also and plenty of hay to eat. We always roll out a bale and then we feed a couple extras in the bale rings. It sort of recreates a grazing situation on the rolled out hay that they can all just eat as they move around throughout the day, but then it gives them a really nice place to bed down at night. Feeding hay like this really works for us, and we've noticed some good benefits to our pastures when we roll out hay in different areas during the winter time, but that is hard for us to do here with how much our ground freezes and thaws, so we don't want to roll it out on muddy ground. So that's why when the ground is frozen like this, we can roll out a lot of extra hay and they won't waste near as much that way. Feeding hay in the wintertime is a big job that has to happen every day. So we're definitely always focusing on our farm, things that we can do throughout the grazing season so that we can hopefully cut down on the amount of hay that we need to feed. But that is also very dependent on what kind of weather we've had during the grazing season. And this year in the late summer, early fall, we had a very long stretch of no rain, and our pastures got so dry and barely any fall regrowth, which we were really hoping for so that way we could extend our grazing time, but that didn't happen this year. So we are feeding a lot of hay, it seems like, earlier on than what we normally do. Plus, having this snow, it's causing us to have to feed them even more hay. But fortunately, we do have a really good supply of hay, and we have a plan for some cover crops that are going to be coming up next spring. So hopefully we can turn out earlier in the spring than we do most years, because we planted a lot of rye and different things that are going to come up pretty early and be ready for grazing before our main pastures are ready for the cattle to graze. Due to the fact that feeding hay requires a lot of getting in and out of the tractor, because you have to get out every time you need to go through the gate, and then you had to cut all the bale strings off before feeding it to them. My dad is the one that comes out and does this most of the time during the winter months. It's just too much for me with the kids, and it's not safe to get in and out of the tractor repeatedly like that. But I was really happy to be able to get out here this morning and just see the cattle in the snow and get a good look at everybody while we fed them hay and tag teamed it so it would go a little bit faster in this cold weather. Chores were done and the snow set in for the afternoon, so we had planned to spend a cozy afternoon inside, warming up by the fire and making some homemade chicken noodle soup from scratch and just enjoy this snow day together. One thing that we made sure to include in our little home is a wood burning stove. I just love having a wood burning fire like this. It is just such a warm heat, and it's so rewarding when you come back inside wet and cold from taking care of the cattle and just being able to sit by the wood stove and really warm up. Plus, we have pretty much an endless supply of firewood on our farm, so it's a really good way to heat our house through the winter time. Very affordable, and it saves us money because our furnace rarely kicks on this time of year because we keep this fire going in our home. We so enjoyed a slow afternoon inside. I actually got a little simmer pot going on top of the wood stove with some oranges and cinnamon in it. It just smelled so good and gave the home such a Christmassy winter type of smell. And we just laid low for the whole afternoon as the snow really set in. I definitely could not let this beautiful snow pass without taking a ride on my horse. Riding in the snow is one of my favorite things to do, and I look forward to it every winter, especially that first snow. I love to just get out there and take a ride, and this is something with kids I have not been able to do in such a long time. It's really hard to find the time to go out and just enjoy the day without doing chores. And riding horses is something that I've always loved. I grew up on a farm and had a horse for as long as I could remember. And one of my first memories with horses is being on my grandpa's cattle farm and my dad helping me saddle up my horse to ride out and check on cows while he was doing chores. Riding horses is something I've been doing my entire life, and I dedicated so much time to it in my teen years and early 20s, just perfecting my riding skills and learning how to train horses. But it's definitely something that had to be put on the back burner when I had children. So I only have this one horse right now on the farm and a little pony, but this is the only riding horse that I've kept. And before I get on her today, I just want to take some extra time warming her up and getting her ready to make sure that her mind is focused and that the saddle isn't pinching her or any reason that she would have to buck, and just make sure she's safe for me to go ahead and get on her before I just ride her out from the barn. Sometimes cold, windy days like this where the weather really changes, horses can be a little bit more wound up than normal. So I just want to be able to take my time to make sure she's ready for the ride today. As I mentioned, I spent so much time in my early 20s dedicated to learning how to train horses, and I actually went to a lot of different clinics with professional trainers all around the country, and I spent a lot of time with a professional trainer right here in my area. So training and riding horses is definitely something that has been a big part of my life and something I just look forward to as I get more time to dive back into. But for today, I'm really just enjoying the little bit of time that I have to saddle this horse up. My dad's out there right now doing chores, so I plan just to ride back and take a look at the cows and ride through the herd like I used to do all the time. Been a while since these cows have seen me on a horse, but there is something about a horse out in a cattle pasture that just makes them calm. When I used to ride all the time, anytime we would need to catch cattle, I would always use a horse, and cattle just naturally work a lot better with horses. And today I actually went out there and there was some cattle in the wrong pen, so I was able to use the horse to walk them back to the correct pasture. I did not get any video footage of that just because with riding and actually having a job to do, it was really hard to also film. But it was such a great ride and I really enjoyed spending this snowy morning out on my horse. Before heading in to warm up after chores, we decided to roll out some hay to the cattle in our finishing lot. These are calves that will actually be harvested next spring for our local customers in quarter, half, and whole beef portions. It's really important through this snowy weather to just keep them comfortable out here. They always have access to free choice feed and hay. But now that there is snow on the ground, we wanted to also roll out a hay bale for them so that they had a really nice place to bed. These calves always get so excited when we roll out hay. They always get a burst of energy just running through the fresh bedding, and then they settle in and enjoy the nice place to lay. This is something that we will do all winter just to make sure we keep them comfortable as the ground freezes. Thank you so much for watching and following along for a snow day here on the farm. I look forward to sharing more with you guys next week.